Hello, Wansters. This is your general energies reading, whenever and wherever this finds you. Now, in front of me, I have 5 piles, and I'm just going to go through what each one of them is and just explain a little bit to you. So, in the north, we have the earth pile. In the east is air. We have fire in the south, and then we have water in the west. In the middle, we have our spirit pile. So the spirit pile is for everybody because everybody is spirit. So I'm going to start off with that one and then we'll work our way through the other ones. All right? So I'm just going to move these guys out of the way so that we can take a look at what our other one is saying to us today. Okay? So each one of these decks has 3 Lenormand cards and 1 Dream Interpretation card. Okay? So the first card that we have in this pile is the Mountain. The next card that we have is the Male Energy. And the final card that we have for Lenormand is the Clover. And I'm just going to hold this up so you guys can see. That's the male card. Okay, so what this tells me right away is the male energy or masculine energy is typically about structure and putting things into place for ourselves. So it's no surprise that this comes up because right now is a time of resolution. We want to turn over a new leaf. We want to become a better person. And we want that all year round, but usually in January it kind of comes into stark realization, and a lot of people really put guidelines and plans in place for themselves so that they can figure out what they want to do and how they want to go on with 2020. And especially with 2020, it is a big year because it is the start of a new decade. So not only is it the start of a new year, it's the start of a new decade. Okay? And then paired with it though, we have the Clover and the Mountains. Now the Clover is quite a positive card, and the Mountains, maybe not so much for some people, but what this tells me is the Mountain is about kind of being with ourselves, a little bit of standstill perhaps, but paired with the Clover is about fast movements or good luck. So a lot of times when we put plans in place, we sometimes, especially now with our resolutions, we just go, I'm going to do this, but we don't actually have a way of doing it. So it's like, I'm going to quit smoking. Okay, that's great that you want to quit smoking because it's going to improve your health and it's going to be able to, change things for you, but how are you going to quit smoking? So what this is saying is like, yes, there's a lot of energy and a lot of movement about doing new things, becoming better people, but you kind of have to have that structure in place. You have to make sure that you have some guidelines that you're going to follow, and the more you have a concise idea of how you want to do things, the better off it is for when you want to make changes in your life. Now, I'm not saying you have to have it all sorted out or all figured out right at the same time, but this is saying do a little research into what it is you want to do, right? It's a good time to start new things, and it's a good time to spend some time in stillness with yourself. So when you make your resolutions and when you do those things, make sure that you're doing it for yourself and no one else, okay? So paired with all of this, we have the falls or the cascades. And the falls in the dream interpretation is about making sure that everything flows properly. So it's kind of going along the same lines. It's like, make sure that whatever you're putting in place for yourself, it is for yourself and no one else. A lot of times when we think that we're going to be doing something and we have somebody else in mind, a lot of times that doesn't maintain our momentum through what we want to do. When we do something for ourselves and we want to do something that improves who we are as a person for ourselves, by ourselves, we usually have a lot more success with that than when somebody else is telling us we have to do it. So this is reminding us just kind of go with that flow, go with that gut instinct, go with that feeling, But again, with that male energy in place, make sure you have that structure that you're going to be able to kind of follow. Even if you don't have all the pieces, if you've got a few things that you're able to do or able to incorporate into your life, then everything will kind of fall into place for you. Okay, so that's the spirit portion of it. So that's just for everybody. Now I'm going to do the earth one next. So that was this one with the amethyst. So if you are an earth baby, so one of the earth signs, this might be a deck for you, or if you're just drawn to earth in general. So this is the next deck. This was in the north. Okay, so we're going to read this one next. And again, each one of the decks has 3 Lenormand cards, and it has 1 dream interpretation card. So building on the idea of putting frameworks in place and having an idea of what we're going to work on coming up in this part of 2020, we've got the child, we have the moon, so that's that one right there, and we have this one here, which is the mice. Okay, so if you chose the earth deck, the moon is usually talking about deep emotions, cyclical patterns, things that we either get caught up in a cyclical pattern or breaking cyclical patterns. It's also about trusting your intuition, trusting your gut feelings. But I have these two paired together. So the child and the mouse, and actually the child and the moon together, kind of lends itself to, this is a pretty serious group. If you chose these cards, it tells me that you've kind of lost that spark for life. You just do your day-to-day, you go about your business, you don't really find a lot of joy and awe-inspiring things in your life and in your day-to-day stuff. So this is kind of telling me, especially with the mice in there, that this is a reminder to make sure that as we're talking about laying groundwork for ourselves, and if you're one of those people that structures out your entire life, it's probably better to go with the flow on this one. So the falls, like we had before, it's telling me that you're not scheduling in time for yourself, and it's important to make sure that you give yourself time to play, you give yourself time to be lighthearted and to just enjoy life. Life does not have to be a struggle. Like, yes, you're hardworking, and yes, you're dedicated to what you do, but you also have to be dedicated to yourself. And with this group, it feels like you've kind of recognized that the joy has kind of left your life, but you're not too sure how to get back into it. So trust your gut feeling. Like, what do you love to do? What is something that when you do it, time ceases to exist? And even if you can only do it for a few moments, try and get back into that thing. Like, even if it's something that you used to do as a kid, like coloring or something. So just get back into that thing that you absolutely loved, that just, like I said, made time cease to exist. And this is kind of going to remind you that it's okay for you to have fun. It's okay for you to be an interesting, fun, dynamic person, instead of just being that serious 9 to 5, day to day. I have to make this work, and everything has to fit within my scheduled plan. Schedules are good, but if you're too structured and too rigid, it kind of starts like the little mice. They're cute, but they start eating away at who you are, and it eats away at your joy. Okay? So the dream interpretation card that's that's masked with this, that's added to this is the masquerade. So the masquerade, of course, is all about our masks, the faces that we show to people. So again, this is saying you're putting on a brave face, but things are kind of starting to fall apart around your ears. So pay attention again, like I said, with this moon. Pay attention to your intuition. Pay attention to what it is that is good for you. And this was kind of playing in with spirit too. It's don't do things because other people tell you to do it. You have to trust how you feel. You have to trust what's going on inside of you. So again, that masquerade is saying it's like your mask is starting to crumble. It's starting to fall apart. So but that's okay. That means that you're ready for the next step. You're ready to move forward. Okay? So it was a little bit heavy, but I think you guys understand if you chose the water deck, the earth deck. I think you guys understand because earth is usually very practical, very serious, very down to earth. So hence earth, right? So if you guys chose that deck, this is your reading. All right, so let's move on to the next deck, and I'm going to start with air this time. So this is the air deck. So if you chose this one, again, there are 3 Lenormand cards, and there is 1 dream interpretation card. So let's pull these out and see what we've got. So we have the feminine energy, or the female. We have the rider, and we have the cross. So there's the rider there. Okay, so the rider is about communication and about an exchange of information. The rider is a swift moving card, but it also represents people. So there's actually 2 people cards, like 2 person cards in here, and this is a feminine energy card as well sometimes. And I'm picking up on a lot more feminine energy in this reading. That doesn't necessarily mean you are feminine. It just means this is the energy that is going into it. So when we talk about feminine energy, this group of people, if you chose the air deck, you're getting in touch with your spiritual side. You are trying to open up to your sensitivities a little bit more. You're reawakening. So again, as we talk about the spirit deck, where it's like, what are the plans that you're laying in place for this year? This is saying that you're kind of coming into your own this year. This is something that is really important to you, and you've felt a lot of this stuff is like you felt it coming on for a really long time. You've been actually working at developing either your psychic skills or your intuition or trusting it a little bit more. But we also have the feminine energy paired with the cross. So what this tells me is that a lot of society norms that we have had to do with toning down our intuition. You know, that was something that was extra above everything. It actually has a little bit of that dogma. That's what that cross means. It's like that dogmatic stuff that we're told when we're little, so we believe it, you know, whether it actually has basis in fact or not. And the fact that it's paired with the feminine energy tells me that this actually might be more for I'm getting a strong sense of an awakening. Like, there is a huge shift in society and what's happening with gender roles and with everything that we have taken for granted as a society, as a people, as a global culture. And it's kind of rocking the foundations. So if you chose this air deck, it almost seems like you're one of the forerunners. You're one of the people that is trying to break those dogmatic notions. Like, you're trying to let people know that there is a better way than trying to compartmentalize everything and make it fit into a pretty picture that has been around for hundreds of years. that it no longer fits anymore. So the communication piece is maybe you're, yeah, it feels like you're developing, I want to say like public speaking or talking to people about how they can incorporate the new world views into how they see things. Like saying things in such a way that people actually understand instead of getting up in arms about, no, this is the way things have always been and this is the way they always should be. So you're kind of breaking those social barriers. You're breaking down all those dogmatic beliefs, all those things that people just believe because they were told at a young age and they don't question. So yeah, this feels very much like you're questioning everything and you're starting on a path where it's like, yeah, your intuition is awakening and you're going to be able to communicate in such a way that it's going to open people's minds and people's hearts to the changing, just the changing stuff. This seems like a really, really exciting thing. Like it's, yeah. So again, going back to the spirit deck where we're talking about laying plans, I think this actually feels more like it's evolving naturally for you. It's like as you keep moving forward and you gain your voice, this is going to open up new ground for you. Yeah. All right. So then with this one, we have the marriage card. So the marriage card in the dream interpretation is basically about that, about committing to something, or a marriage can be between people. So this seems like it's something that has begun as an idea or a notion and is developing into something that is a little bit more serious. You're becoming a little bit more committed to being able to tell people, or, well, not tell people, to open the way for people to be able to understand a little bit more about the way the world actually works instead of the way that we've thought this world works for a very long time. So very exciting for the air group number 2. And yeah, super excited about that. All right, so I'm going to move on to the fire reading for you guys, and that was this deck here that was in the south. So again, it has 3 Lenormand cards and 1 dream interpretation card. So if you're a fire baby, I'm a fire baby, this might be a deck that was drawn to you, or that you were drawn to. Or if you just thought the deck was neat and you wanted to listen to it and see what we have, this is the deck for you. Okay, so I'm just going to move that off to the side as well. So for this guy here, we have the house, we have the cross, and we'll just flip him around, and we have the ring. So I'll just hold these guys up. These ones are kind of hard to see because they've got so much white in them. So the middle card here, if you're one of these fiery people, you have a tendency to be a little bit stubborn, and this is my opinion, and I don't care what you say. But one of the things about this, because the cross has come up, what this says is maybe when you give your opinion, how do I put this delicately? Just because you believe it doesn't make it true. Okay? So it might be a truth for you, but it might not necessarily be a truth for everyone else. Okay? So when we're paired with the house and we're paired with the ring, that is about home and family and commitment. So what I'm getting from this one, so if you're in this fire group, what I'm getting from this is that perhaps maybe there almost seems to be too much focus on how you believe things are supposed to be. So, yes, you love your family, you have a commitment to your home, your family, you love your family. And I think that that is what, yeah, I think that's what I'm picking up here, is that because you love your family so much and because you want to see what's best for them, you sometimes get caught up in what's best for you and believing that that is what's best for everyone else. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, this is kind of calling for a restructuring. So when we talk about the spirit reading that we got, and it was like a need for structure, this is telling me there is a need for restructuring. So what was working before, I don't think is working now, and it's feeling like things are kind of falling apart, but you have a commitment to see it work, and you really want your family to be able to come together. The cross is kind of, yeah, it's telling me that there needs to be a rework. That I'm just getting the word rework. So there is a new family dynamic, or there is a new structure that is kind of, I want to say, pushing against the boundaries that you've put in place. I don't know if pushing against, questioning perhaps why the family, why the structure has always done things the way they have always done them. So, yeah, there's a very real component in here that if this mindset where it's like, no, it has to be this way and no way else, it's going to kind of cause a lot of tension in this family commitment area. So it's almost like it's creating a rift, or creating yeah, it feels like it's a very, like, heavy, very, like, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing, a lot of stuff going on, but it's coming from a place where you just want to make sure everybody's okay. And it's getting frustrating for you because nobody understands that that's what's happening. It's like, I just want to make sure that everybody's okay. So what the cross is telling me is that it's great to want to make sure that everybody is okay, but with the spirit deck, where we talked about structure, and when we come up with new resolutions or new things that we want to do, this is calling us to say, just because it is 100% true for you doesn't mean that it is for anyone else. And even though you want to see the best for the people you are committed to, the people you consider family, the people you consider friends, what's okay for you might not be okay for them. And until you understand that they are a completely different person than you are, and that what works for you does not work for them, there's going to be a little bit of animosity, tension. There's going to be anger. There's going to be arguments. So even though you're committed to your family and you really want to see what's best for them, this is, yeah, the onus is on you to rethink the way you do things, not the other way around. You've been focused on what other people need to do. This is saying you need to focus on changing how you see the situation. Okay? So these are just a couple heavy readings here, but I think it's because of the new year. We want to turn over a new leaf. We want to become new people. And we forget that we have to kind of clear the air before we can do that. So the card that comes up for the dream interpretation is the hand. So the hand is talking about helping hands. So you don't have to do it alone, right? A lot of times when we have these beliefs where it's like, no, we have to do it this way, this is the only way, my way or the highway type of thinking, the hand is saying that if you're not sure which way to turn, there is always going to be someone there that can help you. Now, whether that's asking for help specifically from people or just asking the universe, God, spirit, whatever your belief is, just like, I don't know how to do this. How do I change my perspective on what's happening? Please help me. So the hand is there saying, yes, we will give you the helping hand. And the fact that it's also has, if you can see in here, it's got this bird in here, and they're above the clouds, above the mountains. It means that there is a sense of freedom in being able to ask for help. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. Don't feel like you are the only one that is going through this or the only one that will understand what's happening inside your head. Know that there is help, and know that in asking for help, there is freedom. Okay, so that's our fire deck. And our final deck for today is our water deck right here. And again, like all the other ones, there are 3 Lenormand cards and 1 dream interpretation card. So we'll get into that guy and see what we've got for you guys today. So the first card is the ring, so we just have the ring. The second card is the tree, and the final card is the bear. So we'll hold these ones up so you guys can see it a little bit better. Like I said, these cards have a lot of white on them, so they're hard to see. So in the middle we have the tree. Now the tree can be a few different things. It can talk about ancestry, about roots and family. And one of the things that comes up quite frequently is when we talk about the world tree. So if you're familiar with Norse mythology, it's Yggdrasil, which is the world tree that connects the heavens and the earth with the underworld, and just the entire universe connected together is what Yggdrasil is. Okay, so this is talking about our connection to everything. So that's our central card for this. It's our connection to spirit, our connection to people, our connection to, and then we have the bear and we have the ring. So this one is talking about a connection to our work life. So this one, these people, if you chose the water deck, you are very career driven right now. There might be some new opportunities that have come up. Now the bear can actually be somebody that's a little bit overbearing, or no, not in this case. In this case, it just seems like somebody that's just got a lot of ambition, that really just wants to push through and do this. And the ring is saying, I have that commitment. So if we're going back to the spirit deck and we talk about that, putting plans in place and making sure things run smooth, and what are we doing for this new year, what are the energies that are kind of coming up when we talk about our interconnectedness with things. So there already has been a lot of work that you've been doing in 2019, and moving into the new decade, moving into the new year, you have a newfound commitment for that job that when we have the bear that comes up, it's usually small business or entrepreneurs, but that is not necessarily true. It just could be you work in a large company but in a small group. So this is always something that's like, you're very committed to your work. You're very committed to, this is what I am focusing on for this year. And it seems like it's something that is like just lighting your fire. It's just, It's encouraging you to be able to just go forward and just do it. And you've had a few successes in 2019, but this is saying it's like there's just so much more I can do with my career. There's so much more. And again, with that tree in the middle, it is just, it almost feels like this group here, this water group, has found their calling. And they're just diving in. You know, you're diving in head first. You're just going for it. And yeah, you're just committed to all the work and the effort that comes with that. So yeah, this is really good. Oh, that one's quick, easy, and simple. You know what you want. You're going to go after it. You have the commitment, and you're ready to do the work. You got that connection with where you're going and what you're doing. And again, with the Spirit deck, you have a framework in place, or you have begun to put a framework in place that is going to help move all of this energy forward with you. Okay? So in here, again, we have, with our dream interpretation, we have the clouds. So this cloud card is a little bit different than the Lenormand. So if you've actually seen me do any Lenormand decks before where the cloud has come up, it's a little different in there than it is in here. So the clouds talk about kind of having your head in the clouds. So this is kind of a little bit of a warning where it's like, yes, you've got the commitment, you've got the drive, but this is reminding us that everything needs a certain balance. So it's nice to have dreams, it's nice to have aspirations, but when your head is in the clouds a little too long, the air up there isn't quite so thick. So you gotta kind of come down to earth every now and again to make sure that you're grounded. But again, clouds, all about dreaming, all about making sure that you're following your heart. And yeah, it's definitely very important to come down to earth every once in a while, but don't stop dreaming. Okay? So that was absolutely wonderful. I am so glad you guys took the time to visit with me today, and I really enjoyed our time together. And if you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a bit of a like, follow, whatever you feel like doing. That would be wonderful. And again, I hope I will have all the timestamps down in the description, so if you want a specific deck, then you can just jump to that instead of having to go through the whole thing and find it. Okay? And again, as always, with love from the universe, this is the Weekly One signing off. Namaste.